Without further ado, I'm going to jump right into the presentation. Again, today we've got how to set up the free health check application. I'm also going to dive into how to use the health check application as well in practice. Just a little bit about myself. My name is Ben Cole. I am now a strategic sales executive over at Rux Software. Previously had been ERP Connect. We merged and formed Rux Software with Opendoor in July. So if the name is new, that's why, but it is still mostly the same team that we had before, as well as many others. And we've still got the great BC Toolbox products that you all know and love. Just a quick kind of commercial on Rux, right? Our new tagline is engineered to fit, built to last. Not only do we have that BC Toolbox offering now, but we also have a deeper industry focus in the rental and service-based businesses as well. So if that's something that you're interested in or your business needs, definitely feel free to reach out to Matt and myself, and we're happy to put you in the right direction there. But the focus of today is the health check, and the agenda will be as follows. We're going to go through some of the gaps that currently exist in Business Central. We're going to talk about some of the solutions, of course, that we've got for you today, and then we're going to dive into it. So we're actually going to set up the health check end to end. That should be very quick. It's a very easy app to set up, takes about 3 minutes. And then we'll finalize the presentation with kind of the next steps and resources that you can utilize in order to be successful with this application. Some of those things in the setup will include how to download it from App Source, user permissions, and then the app setup, as well as actually analyzing the accounting, setup, inventory system, and changelog health within your system. So I'd say that the 3 main use cases that we're going to dive into today as we go through the app are how it can be used for month end and year end close, which is very timely being a new year and many of you jumping into that. If there's anybody who's in the process of going live with Business Central right now, or maybe went live on the first, this is a great tool to kind of make sure that everything ties out and that you're in a good spot moving forward. And then the third, again, probably coming up in future months is audit readiness, right? Just making sure that your system is healthy for your auditors, especially since we know that that can increase the audit bill, of course. So the cleaner you are, the easier it's going to be for them, ultimately helping you keep your costs down. So what are the gaps that we see in Business Central today? The first one that many of you have probably seen is that the out-of-box, dashboarding and reporting in Business Central isn't very robust. It's kind of, a choose your own adventure, I like to say. Here's the tools you have, but you kind of have to create it all yourself. With the health check and many of our other dashboards, we kind of just give it to you out of box, ready to go, right? Which you'll see today. System indicators and areas for improvement isn't something that's obvious. We're going to try to make it obvious today within our presentation. And then being able to kind of scan multiple modules and reconcile them at the same time can be difficult today in the system. Again, something that we're going to try to alleviate for you, kind of by giving you that one-stop shop view rather than having to have 6 or 7 tabs open. So not going to read through all this, but this is what we're going to go through today for our solutions. Quick analysis between Subledger and general ledgers to tie those out, some customer statistics, who's paying late, maybe who you want to follow up with, old documents that are in the system that maybe you need to clean up, posting group setups and GL mapping issues potentially that could cause issues, dates and date locks and accounting periods. This one's very timely. I'm sure at least one of you on the call got an error message on January 1st or 2nd saying you can't post to this date because the accounting periods or the GL wasn't opened up for the new year. Happens to me every once in a while as well, especially with different tickets that we're getting in our help desk as well. Negative inventory, valuation and statistics measures, and then just some user licensing and changelog data. So again, any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I just saw about 6 more people join. So if anybody has any questions on what we're talking about today within the health check, please just drop those in the chat. I'm going to pivot now to Business Central and go through kind of that live demo, starting with how to set up the health check. So if I can get a couple thumbs up, just making sure that we're on the right screen now. I tried to switch to Business Central. Looks like we're getting a couple there. You can use the react button at the top at any time if you like in what you see, but looks like we're good to go here. So first thing that we'll need, just a quick preview. I can throw this in the chat as well. Where I'm dropping this link is where I'd prefer everybody asks their questions. So that link is going to take you to the health check out on the marketplace. You'll see now the logo looks a little bit different. It's now by Rux Software. So if you had this before, you might have seen that blue logo with the ERP Connect publisher here. This is the right app. So just making sure you're in the right place. If it does look different, This is now the health check listing. It's the same listing as it was before, just of course rebranded, and it's free, right? So you can literally just click get it now. I'm not going to do this because I already have it downloaded and I don't want it to try again, but get it now. It will start to download into your system. It might take 2 or 3 minutes, but if you do want to follow along, feel free to download this, and then I'll show you how to do the user permissions. So again, you can use that link. You can download it. By the end of this call, you'll actually have the health check set up in your system, all the bells and whistles. We'll get through it all today. So get it now. It's free. It'll always be free, and you can do so by clicking that link. After you do so, you'll come into Business Central, and before actually going to the health check, there are just 2 quick user permissions that you need to add. So if I go to my user list, of course, this assumes that you have the necessary permissions to the user list here. I can come up to more options, related, permissions, and permission set by user. This is how I prefer to do it. I know there's multiple ways to get here, but if you just want to do it quickly, come up to related, permissions, permission set by user. And from here, you'll have a list of all the permission sets. I can easily filter these down by putting a filter on this, do star HCK star. And these are the 2 permissions that everybody's going to need in the system. So that health check user, just give this to everybody. We can further define who I can actually see it later, but basically health check user, I'm going to give to all users. You can do so by clicking this box. And then the health check setup, at a minimum, make sure you are checked, because this is going to allow us to get into that setup screen, which is what we're going to dive into next. If there's anybody else that needs to do the setup, you can check them as well. So that's step 1 after you download, is just get these permissions set up real quick. The next step is going to be to more granularly define the health check setup. And within the health check setup, you can just, again, search for that. It's very simple. So again, we're only a few minutes in. It's not even 10 minutes after the hour yet, and we're already almost done with the health check setup. First, just activate the extension. Second, go to your user setup, and this will be individually who can see the health check. If they're not on this list, they cannot see the health check, even if they have those other permissions, right? So in this case, admin and Ben, both are going to default to the setup view, going to default to a date range of month to date. Matt, who's also on the call, he's going to default to the system view. Again, date range is also month to date. Once we get into the health check, you can, of course, click through the tabs. This is just where you default when you open the health check for the first time, which we'll see mine's going to go directly to the setup health check, because that's what I'm most interested in for today, let's say. Next, we have some fields that you can fill out. So average paydays indicator threshold. What this is going to do when we get into our customer AR aging analytics is, let's say your payment terms are 30 days. What this is doing is it's giving them a 5-day grace period. So it's not going to highlight them in bold and red and all that stuff until they go 35 days overdue on a day sales outstanding metric or average paydays metric, right? So individually, we're going to show you your customer behavior and see, are they paying in 30 days, right? Maybe they're paying in 25 days. We're not going to throw an indicator because they're under their terms, right? But if they're 32 days, they'd be within that threshold. If they're 37 days, now we're going to highlight them and say, hey, this customer repeatedly pays you on day 37, and their terms are net 30, maybe just something you want to look out for, right? On that note, number of payment receipts for average paydays. This is how many payments from the customer do you want to analyze for that comparison, right? So this would give me a trailing 10, their 10 most recent payments applied to their 10 invoices or 20 invoices or however many invoices that covers. What's the difference in those days? Aggregate it all and spit out a number, right? Number series warning. This is once you hit 100, you're within 100 numbers of the final number of the number series, throw me a warning, right? Again, trying to have the theme today be avoiding errors and having your system run more efficiently. We want to get these indicators. And then old sales documents and old purchase documents. How far do you want to look back? I'm saying if the document was created over a month ago, put it on my short list so that I can look into it, right? So that's about 2 minutes, a quick overview on how to set this app up. I'm going to spend the most of the time today actually going through the application itself. Before I do that, any questions on downloading the app, setting the app up, or configuring those user permissions? Looks like a pretty quiet chat today, but Matt, anything I missed up top?
Nope. All set.
Awesome. Cool. We will jump into the health check itself. So like I said, a couple different use cases. We'll talk about those as we go. But just for starters, if I type in health check again, I've got the setup, the administration page, which we've already looked at, and I've got the dashboard that we'll look at here. Just a quick tip, if you click this little bookmark right here, it will actually put it up in your favorites, in your Business Central favorites, I should say. So I have quite a few, it looks like, but if I come back out here, I don't always have to search for it. I can just pin my favorites here, and it will allow me to go directly into the health check dashboard. So not just for health check, but for anything, if that's something that you commonly do, feel free to just bookmark those. You can also bookmark it right here. As I mentioned, this defaulted me into the system overview, which is like the fourth tab that we've got in our health check. I'm actually going to go back to the beginning in our accounting tab, and we'll just walk through this step by step. So there's about 6 different functional areas that we're going to analyze within our health check. And the first is our accounting data. So one of the most important things in the backbone of all ERP systems, right, not just Business Central, is how your subledgers tie to your general ledgers. And that's the first thing that I'm going to show here. So we can see individually, bank account by bank account, which GL account those banks are mapped to. We can see the GL balance for that GL account, that cash account or that credit card account in this case. I've got some liabilities as well. And then what the posting group balance is, or what the bank account balance is. So these first two, they tie out perfectly. I have no warnings. The Chase credit card looks like I'm having an issue here. My GL balance, it looks like someone posted to the GL without posting through the subledger, right? So we've got some direct posting warnings down here, which, as most of you maybe know, that those direct posting warnings, if I've got a posting warning, in this case, I did shut it off, it looks like, but somebody still needs to go and correct that $200. Whereas down here in the accounts payable and accounts receivable, I have direct posting turned on for AR and AP. And my AP, I got lucky, it does tie out, but my AR, the subledger does not tie to my general ledger. Just as, a quick tip, all of the AR and AP and bank and inventory and all that good stuff should always be posted through the subledger, right? It should never be posted directly to the GL account itself. And these kind of go hand in hand, right? To tell us, do we have issues between our agings and our subledgers and our actual GL? And if so, is that because direct posting's turned on? In which case, AR and AP, it does look like that's the issue. It's not a problem though. It is a problem that you have to fix, but it's not a problem going forward because I can turn direct posting off, right? So at this point, it's going to limit the damage. We can no longer make it worse, but we do need to go fix it. And once it's fixed, those two numbers should tie out and you don't have to worry about it moving forward, right? But with that month-end, year-end type task checklist, you can always come back and look at this. And we've got a lot of clients at a minimum using it at a month-end close just to do a 5-minute quick health check, right? And make sure that there's nothing that needs to be fixed. Balances by bank. This is just a quick grid kind of showing how much money you have in your bank, how much maybe liability balance you have in your credit cards, anything that's linked to a bank account. It's just giving you a quick visual chart here as to how much money you have in each of those accounts or how much liability you owe on your American Express or your Chase card. As we continue to scroll down, we have our direct posting warnings over here, which I've already talked about. Again, on the balance sheet side, they're typically, there's always exceptions, but there typically shouldn't be anything you're direct posting to here, especially if it's tied to subledger activity, right? AR should, I did turn AR off. I just have to refresh this. AP I should turn off. Fixed assets I should most likely turn off as well. I know there are some, if you're new to Business Central, some exceptions. If you're doing beginning balances, you do have to have this allowed, but then after you're tied out, you'd of course want to turn that off once you're actually live. Next, we have the customer aging that I talked about. So this will list out every customer in my database, what their terms are. So in this case, we can see their terms are 7 days. On average, they're taking 147 days to pay us. So I'm going to flag them as a late payer, and I'm going to highlight that they owe us $231,000. If you want to look into this further, you can, of course, click on any of these data points. They have quite a few invoices. It's customer 100, so I use them a lot for demos, but and I never pay them, or I never get cash from them, of course. But in this case, you can see all of the data. You can export it to Excel if you want. You can even show, the document or apply entries. We're very interactive here, so we're tapping directly into those customer ledger entries. You can see all of that data right here. Looks like this one had a payment plan from another one of our apps, but very easy to get to the data you want. You don't have to go to a new area in the system. It all has those drill down capabilities. Additionally, you can filter, on this. If you only want to see the late payers, feel free to put a filter on there, and it will now only show you the people who their average paydays, which again is their customer behavior, how long does it take them to pay you compared to their terms code. All right, let's keep going. Next, we've got our number series warnings. So again, this was just any number series that's approaching its expiration. So anything that's within 100 digits of its last number, which we can see here. All of them do, or they're blank again, which is going to show. And then finally, on the accounting health check, we have both sales orders that are shipped, not invoiced, as well as purchase orders that are received, not invoiced. Again, just not as big of a risk as some of the others, but it does give a risk between the expected cost and maybe if you have a lot of variability in costs or sales prices for whatever reason after things have been shipped or before things have been received. This will just give you a quick grid as to things that are likely ready to be invoiced. If something's been shipped, it's likely that you can invoice it as well. On the purchase order side, maybe a little bit more difficult because you are reliant on your vendor to send over that invoice, but maybe a good excuse to give them a call and see if they can get that since you have the goods and you kind of want to get that finalized from a financial standpoint. And then finally, on the accounting side, just old sales documents and old purchase documents. This is where I had those filters on my setup. So I said, give me anything that was created over a month ago. Anything that's been created in the last 30 days isn't going to show on this grid. Again, I'm in a demo instance, so I've got stuff all the way back to 2023, it looks like. If this was real, I definitely want to get all of these cleaned up because this is indicating all document types. I know quotes are the first ones we see here, but I've got quotes, I've got orders, I've got invoices, I've got recurrings, I've got blankets, right? I've got a little bit of everything, and a lot of it was created, multiple years ago. Again, on that theme of health check, just giving you visual indicators, one-stop shop of things that could potentially make your system a little bit cleaner moving forward, making that easier to use, and something really anybody that you allow on your team access to can use. So without further ado, I'm going to jump over to the setups, but any questions on the accounting health check before I move on? All right, good question. If the subledger is out of balance, is there a report I can run to show which entries are the culprit? That is something that that we're working on. Does not exist today, but typically the easiest way I like to do is if you go into your general ledger entries and you or you can export them from a configuration package or something like that as well. There's a couple fields, and I can follow up with you on this, but for the larger group, just the easiest way is there's a, I think it's called like system generated. If it's system generated, typically that means it came from a subledger. If it wasn't system generated, it means someone directly posted to it. That's one way I can typically find them. The other way is based on the, what's it called? It's like the transaction tag, like if it's a sales document, purchase document, general journal, things like that. I can jump into that real quick just since we do have time. If I go into my general ledger entries, I'm not going to export it, but I will just quickly do like a, that's it, source code, right? So if it came from purchases, we know that it was posted through the subledger, general journal. Those came from a journal entry. And then there's also, if I inspect the page, I think it's called like system created. That's what it is. System created entry. Anything that's no means that it was just, a journal entry. If it was system created, yes. Let's see if I have any that are. This one should be because it's an invoice, right? So this invoice was system created. That means it was posted through from the subledger itself. So again, we're using that data to try to come up with something. I've also talked to a few other groups that have maybe some more, we'll call them AI-enabled tools to hopefully get those transactions for you as well. I've tried it with the out-of-box Copilot that comes with Business Central. It doesn't quite do the trick yet, but I'll definitely take your email down and follow up there so that we can chat on that if you're having maybe some issues. Yep, absolutely. Any other questions, just feel free to drop them in the chat there where Matt's throwing some messages in there and I threw that link. But we'll continue to march forward. The next thing I've got for you is the health check on our setups, right? So the accounting and the GL is very important, but the setup is also another backbone of the system. The first being the posting group setups, right? So I'm sure a lot of folks are familiar with general business posting groups, right? Those are tagged at your customers and your vendors. and then your general product posting groups, which are tagged at your items, right? These play a role hand in hand depending on a combination of what items you're buying from what vendors, what items you're selling to what customers, and based on that relationship, we need sales accounts, we need credit memo accounts, we need purchase accounts, cost of goods accounts, things like that, right? But we also need the combination to be set up in the posting setup, right? So we see things like, hey, maybe somebody added a international group for new customers. Well, what they didn't do is they didn't come into the posting group setup and set up, one, the posting group, and two, they obviously didn't set up the GL accounts either. So this is kind of a double whammy in that sense. We're going to show you both, does the combination exist with this checkbox and red or green, basic things like that, as well as if the combination does exist, like we have up here, do the accounts exist, right? So if you had a customer or a vendor with a blank general business posting group, and they were trying to buy a product in the product posting group, product posting group. I know it's confusing, but I think you get what I'm saying there. It wouldn't work. Same with monthly or licenses. There's no sales accounts, right? There's no credit memo accounts. So if they tried to do those transactions, they would get errors. Another main goal and use case of this is for administrators and things like that to hopefully avoid the amount of tickets and things that they're getting, right? Because if you look at this once a month, you make sure that it's good to go, you're going to avoid those tickets. I know they're easy to figure out real quick. Hey, if you get a posting error, it'll tell you, this combination doesn't exist. But now you got to spend 15 minutes digging into it, setting it up, maybe validating with accounting that these are the right accounts, right? So the goal here is, again, to be proactively monitoring that so that doesn't happen, right? So that's kind of the crux of the posting group setups. The next we have is the posting range setup. So I've already corrected this because this is super important for a new year, right? 2026. So this is going to show you the combination of your general ledger setup and your user setup, right? These are two different screens in Business Central. I don't like having two tabs open. I just want to look at it here, right? So this to me indicates that the system can only post 1/126 to 1/30/126, which is correct. And then if I want to do deferrals, I've got deferrals to, I can zoom in on this so you can see the full thing. There we go. Deferral posting for the full year, right? If we need to do deferrals, you could even go to 2027 there, depending on what you need. And then individually, let's say Matt and I are closing the year still. Well, we need overrides, right? We need to override the system dates, and we need to be able to still post back to December to close some things out. So that's kind of what we're trying to show here in the posting range setups, just that general ledger setup and that user setup so that we can get to a nice clean set of dates that's going to work for everybody. It's going to ensure that everybody can post to the new year. And it's also going to ensure that nobody's accidentally posting to 2025, right? The last thing we want is somebody to type in, what's today's date? The 13th, 1/13/2025. Now I've got accounting periods 12 periods ago, and that is for sure closed and reported on, and now somebody's got to go clean it up, right? If these aren't in place. What you definitely don't want is I've seen where both of these are blank. That just means I could post back to 1999 if I wanted to, right? There's no guardrails there, but again, just kind of the general rule of thumb. System dates up top, individual user overrides down below. We'll keep going here, and then I'll answer some questions on that topic of dates, right? Closed accounting periods, right? So if I look down here, I'm seeing that 2024 has been closed. I don't see 2025 on the list. That means 2025 is not yet closed. We're only 2 weeks into the year. Probably not super common that everybody has their books closed yet. But as we get into February and March, right, I would definitely want to see that the accounting period has been closed and that our year end has been closed and all the good stuff. Closed accounting periods, just want to make sure those accounting periods are closed, that you're good to go for that new year. So we'll see 2025 on this list shortly. And then accounting period warnings, right? So this is showing if I have the setups missing. So Business Central will let you post to 2026, even if the accounting periods are not set up. However, the minute you try to go run an income statement or a balance sheet or cash flow or whatever, I guarantee the data is not going to be correct, right? So what we want here, this would be that accounting period piece. And again, all these will lead you to the correct place in Business Central. So if you look at this accounting periods, we can confirm that 2026 is not yet set up, 2025 is not yet closed, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll cheat here, but you can just do create year. We'll go 1/1/2026, and in 15 seconds you fix the problem, right? So none of these things are difficult to do, but you do need to do them in order to continue functioning properly, right? Same thing here. If you wanted to close the year, I can I can close the year, it will close the periods. It doesn't roll to retained earnings. That's not a conversation for today. I can send a link on how to do the year-end close and all that fun stuff. But yeah, again, just trying to get a sense of where your system's at for the new year and being able to use that month to month. Any questions on the setups before we jump over to what's next, the inventory? We'll keep moving just for the sake of time. Inventory is up next. So again, health check on inventory. This one's a little bit more basic, but we're just looking at things like, is any inventory negative, right? Kind of unrealistic, but we see it all the time, right? You have negative items, you've sold more than you currently have in inventory. This is probably also an indicator that you're tracking something somewhere manually, right? Because you can't have -8 of Phantom Bomb 1. That just isn't realistic. But this is going to show you a quick glimpse at any items currently in your system have a negative quantity on hand. The only one, the only two here that I'd be okay with are professional service, because those aren't real hours that we're buying, and then the toolbox, that's a virtual product. So those make sense that they're negative, but the rest do not. The next thing we've got over here is just, I call it inventory value and statistics, as we call it in the header here. This is just going to be all of our items, the descriptions. So here we can see, we got a bunch of items missing descriptions, a bunch of items missing item categories, missing product posting groups, right? Just more data cleanliness, master data analysis, things like that. Quantities we've got on sales orders, purchase orders, current inventory, day supply, lead time ratios, right? We're getting a bit into the weeds there. Inventory valuation, unit cost, unit price, things like that. But it is all at your fingertips here. You can, sort it if you want to see what you've got the most on hand. I always check this one because I always use the Surface. If you've been in any of my demos, I always use the Surface 8 and keyboards and MacBook Airs and things like that, just because they're easy and relatable. So got plenty of inventory to keep doing demos there. But other than that, keep this one pretty simple, but does give you a lot of good information. If you did want to click into any of this, you can. Of course, it's going to show you like all your purchase and sales or assembly, transactions here that make up that balance. I have it takes me negative 171 days to get that item because it's fake, right? But this one takes 96 days to get. Just, again, cleanliness for your data, as well as maybe some of those metrics as to how many you've sold or whatever else you want to do. I will say we have other dashboards. They're not free, but this one is free. The other dashboards that we have take this kind of stuff and go deeper. So I've got an inventory warehousing dashboard that has 30 of these charts, right? If it's something that other people are interested, you can take a look at the 30-day free trial and things like that, but they're not as health check related. These are the only two that I've got that are analyzing the system health and the check of your data there. All right, we'll keep going. Next, we've got system checks. So we got the system health check coming up here. And what this is going to show me is just 3 quick things, right? So under user tracking, this is showing me, has the user ever logged in? If so, when was their last login date? Again, there's some retention policies and things like that. So some of those might be older than the dates we see here. And then what license they currently have assigned. So from you may not have your licenses on a year-end contract. They could, expire and renew in June or whatever that is. But this is a good way to see who's actually licensed in the system. And if you have 20 licenses, but you only need 18, that's an opportunity to save some money. Or if somehow you have more licenses than you've bought, somebody will come to get you for those licenses eventually. So you want to make sure that you're compliant there and you have enough licenses in the system as well. It'll show you who's got essentials, premium, team member, who's an internal administrator. So maybe you've got a partner working on your account. If you're an end user, they get a free login. That'll be an internal administrator. Are they a full user, external user, application user, right? So just some system overview data to just quickly scan through that without having to go into each user individually or going to Office 365. Job queue warnings. This is going to be any job queues that are in an error state. We have a ton of job queues that we create with all of our other apps, like automatically sending invoices and sending notifications and things like that. So we want to make sure that those are running on a nightly basis at a minimum. So I check this one almost daily just to make sure that nothing's airing out. we also have the option with one of our other apps to actually send you an email the moment a job queue fails. So you don't have to come in here. You're going to get an email. And when that email comes, you can go quickly restart that. Because as we all know, a failed job queue that takes a week that nobody notices could cause a lot of downstream impact, especially with currency exchange rates, which I also have down here, right? So I've seen before where somebody's currency exchange rate job queue fails. They haven't updated their exchange rate in 2 weeks. Obviously, exchange rates are fluctuating on a daily basis. And now they're more exposed to FX risk, right? This is going to allow you not only to monitor that job queue and get notifications, but if you look here, we can see what the last date those exchange rates were adjusted, what the date of the last exchange rate was, and what that exchange rate currently is being calculated at, right? So this is a great example from a health check perspective. It's saying I haven't updated my Canadian dollar to US dollar, my base is US here. I haven't updated that since 2024. The last rate was 1.6564, whatever it says there. We all know that the exchange rate has fluctuated greatly in that between the US dollar and the Canadian dollar, and that would open us up to a lot of FX risk because it's still calculating at that rate, right? So just another quick health check we can look at right there. Question on the system health check before we jump to the final, which is our changelog tracking. Cool. Alrighty, so final thing, or there is a question, so I'll answer that real quick. How flexible are the columns and or items being tracked? My follow-up question is, are you talking about like the specific inventory items or just like items in general being like widgets on the screen? In terms of the columns, you can do like personalizations and things like that on any of these. So if you don't like everything, I can hide an entire section, right? So that's going to be just gone now. Let's show it again because I want to demo this. But you can also hide, this field or whatever you want there. You can do. Let's add that back in. So that type of stuff is very flexible, just like out-of-box Business Central is, right? You can personalize pretty much anything. In terms of the actual columns, without just hiding and showing them, in order to like add a new column in, we can definitely work with you on that. But again, just being, a free tool and a prepackaged tool that you can just download from App Source, there's not a lot of like open flexibility just to like change the code on the back end, but you can always work with our team if you're interested. We do that for a lot of clients. So hopefully that answered your question. And as we jump into the changelog tracking, the one prerequisite that I will call out is that you have to have the change logs, of course, enabled. So if you go to changelog setup, you have to have the change logs activated here, and then you can track whatever tables or fields that you want to track on the customers or vendors, or let's see what I've got here. I've got some fields on the customer, some fields on the item. There are options to do all fields. I have no use cases in which I would track all fields. So my recommendation, until somebody can find a good use case for it, is to do some fields. And then within the fields, you can say which individual fields you want to track changes on. Assuming these changes are logged, you can do inserts, modifications, and deletions. Once those are turned on, it will start to track. The out-of-box changelog view, in my opinion, is a little bit tough to sift through. So what we've done here is try to make it a little bit easier, right? We're going to give you everything in a simple to view manner. We're going to give you the date and the time that it changed, who changed it, what table was changed, what the value used to be, and what the value is now. There's a lot more fields to it than that within the actual table itself that Business Central likes to display. We're just trying to make it easier here so that you can see those changes directly in the dashboard itself. The other thing that's important is the retention policies. So if you're tracking a lot of changes, this could start to fill up your database, right? And I think Business Central, unless they changed it, which they might have, last time I checked was you get about 80 gigs plus I think 3 gigs a user. And with the changelogs turned on and attachments and documents and things like that, it can creep up on you. So these retention policies are very important to essentially clear out the data within a certain time period, right? So the retention period, 6 months, 1 month, 1 year, depending on the different tables, you can have different retention policies in order to clear the data out. So if I have 2 months of data and my retention policy is 1 month, it's going to delete out the one that's 2 months old. It's going to keep the last 30 days of data within the changelog, and that will you can run that on a job queue as well and things like that, or you can manually go in and run whatever's older than its retention policy. All right, my plan was about 45 minutes. I know we have like an hour total for the session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump back to the PowerPoint and finish up kind of the high level piece there. Is there any other questions before I jump into that, or anything you want to see within Business Central before I jump back into kind of the PowerPoint and the bullets that are there, so we can wrap this up? I'm happy to go through any tab again. If there are any other questions, just feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm also happy to stick around at the end of it if anybody wants to just ask. Again, the three main use cases I talked about for the health check, we've got the month end and the year end. That's a no-brainer. We've got the go live validation and we've got the audits. And kind of on that message, I just put together this quick kind of slide for the 5 to-dos for year-end close that you're going to want to ensure that you've completed before closing out your books. Many of which, coincidentally, you can do with the health check, right? So the first one is just checking those posting dates in the general ledger setup and user setup, right? So these are two things that historically you could do individually with multiple tabs open. We have that up top. Down below, we have that health check view, kind of that one-stop shop. You're seeing all of your users, all of the places dates could be populated there. Again, my screenshots are showing, something you wouldn't want in a health check. What we showed today was 1/1/2026 to 1/31/2026. That should be your allow posting from and to at the top level. And then if you have any other users that need to post to different dates, you can, of course, do that in the user setup. The second that is incredibly important is make sure to reconcile all subledger and general ledger activity, banks, receivables, payables, inventory, all that jazz. Make sure that they tie out, and then turn direct posting off, right? We want direct posting to be off for all of our subledger accounts so that we don't face issues moving forward. If that's on and you still tie out, buy the lottery ticket and all that kind of stuff, but make sure that direct posting is turned off moving forward so that you don't get into any funky situations down the road. The third is going to be close your 2025 accounting periods and set up new ones for 2026, right? So I briefly showed that in the demo. All you got to do is click the close year button. It should put that checkbox in the 2025 ones. I know this looks like it was for closing 2024 and then doing 2025, probably an old screenshot, but that's okay. The next thing you'd want to do is do that create year function, put 1/1/2026, and then 12 months, click OK. It's going to create your periods for 2026. If anybody has any questions on that, again, feel free to stick around. I can show it again after we end the call. And then one of the most important things is clicking that close year button does not close your income statement. It does not roll anything to retained earnings. What you have to do is you have to come search for close income statement and kind of run through these prompts. I say also there, make sure to do this by dimension. I actually did a quick 2-minute video on this on Monday, I think, or yesterday. I can drop that in the chat as well on just quick 2-minute synopsis on year-end close. But this is very important. And then the final piece is you have to post it. So once you close it, it doesn't actually post the year-end batch. You have to come into the batch. The posting date will have a C in front of it, as we can see here. And then what this is doing is it's taking everything, moving it from the balance sheet to your retained earnings account. And from that point, then you're good to go, right? So handful of steps. None are overly complicated, but they are, you do need to make sure that they're all done in the correct order and done correctly, as I just mentioned there. So here, again, just have a QR code you can scan if you want more information on the app that we looked at today. Again, you've got my information that I'll show here in a second, and it probably was in the original invite as well, but we're always open to chatting with all of you if you have additional questions. Here, you can download this straight from AppSource. As I mentioned, we've got a quick activation video that I'll drop in the chat as well. I'll send you all that follow-up information to ensure you have everything that you need to be successful with that free health check. Same with our product pages, AppSource, things like that. all of this information is online. Our YouTube channel has video walkthroughs and demos of all of the products, not just the ones we showed today. And we've also got a product guide, which I'll send in a follow-up email. That's going to list all of our products out. Each one's going to have a one-pager. It's going to show the gaps in Business Central, where we're a good fit, as well as pricing and additional information on how long you can expect it to take to implement these apps. Something like Health Check, as we saw today, can take under 30 minutes. That is one of our free apps as well, so feel free to download that from App Source and get it going. These are just some of the other products that we have. So again, if you liked the Health Check and you're interested in some of the other things, we've got a bunch more dashboards. We've got the rental and service applications that I talked about originally, invoice and statement delivery down here. That's one of our most popular, helping automate the sending of invoices and statements with invoice attachments and all that kind of stuff. And then, many, many more that we've got here. If anybody wants that product guide and doesn't want to wait for me to email them, you can scan this QR code real quick. And what that's going to do is it's going to take you right to our website to download that product guide. Currently, we do have 500 clients worldwide, which we call it here. I say that because the Health Check is available for cloud-based Business Central clients in every localization across the globe now. That's a very exciting announcement that we have as of, I think, 10 days ago or so. So the Health Check now is available everywhere Business Central is sold, which is very exciting news. And we've got about 70 partners that we work with today. So if you're not working with a partner already, can definitely get you connected with one. If you are, they're likely part of our program, especially if you're on this webinar. They may have even invited you. So we love working with all of our partners and all of our fantastic clients. And for anybody who's not yet a client, we look forward to working with you at a minimum on this free Health Check app. So with that, I'll stick around again, answer any other questions that may come up. If you want to connect with me individually or with Rux as our company and follow along on what we're doing, feel free to join us on LinkedIn. That's probably where I'm most active personally, right? So I post twice a week on different tips and features that we have within our Business Central toolbox. And then, of course, from a company standpoint, everything that we've got upcoming, product releases, things like that, you can find on the Rux Software LinkedIn page. Looks like Matt's throwing some links in there. I'll throw some more in, and I'm going to stick around for questions. I can stick around for the next 15 or 20 minutes. And yeah, really appreciate everybody joining today. I'm sure we'll all chat soon, and I hope that everybody has a great week. All righty. I'm seeing some questions. So again, like I said, I'll stick around. We'll get that recording going. The question that we've got on accounting periods, where you say it's you highlighted closed and all the checkboxes are not checked. If there's an option there that says close year, if you click close year, it should close that down for you. I think the reason that yours is not closing is because you're not on a calendar year, right? You're on a 8/1/2025 to 8/1/2026, so you wouldn't want to close the year yet because you're not through August of 2026. If 2025, like part of 2024 into 2025 was completed, then you'd want to close it down. But yeah, I would leave that open for now, just because your fiscal year is not completed yet. But yes, that is where you would do it from. Yes, I know Matt answered this in the chat, but just for everybody else that's still on, this recording will be emailed out to everybody. We're going to get it uploaded to YouTube, so the link will be distributed via a YouTube link that you can go watch on our Rux Software page. Speaking of, what I should do is I should come back here and kind of drop all of those links that we've got. So all those videos can be found on this Rux Software page. Feel free to subscribe and all that fun stuff. That'll get you those real-time updates. I'm also going to, what was it? What did somebody want? Somebody wanted the LinkedIn. Get over here so that not everything pops up. I'm going to send that year-end close video that I did real quick. I'll drop that in the chat while I'm doing so. This is also my LinkedIn if anybody wants to connect with me. We've got the year-end close video here. I'll send over. All right, so that's just that's a 2-minute like little short that I've got there on our old YouTube page. I've got another year-end one that I can grab for you that goes more in depth. So let me grab that for you. This one's going to be a little bit longer. So there's another video that I just put in that's more year-end closing stuff. Dan, you had asked, but I know a few other people asked as well. Another question about closing a month at a time. Yes, you're absolutely correct. So to like kind of, I'll call it a soft close. To soft close a month, what you'd want to do is come up to the general ledger setup and just restrict the posting dates. So like your posting dates should look like this right now. You want the allow posting from to be 1/1/26 to 1/31/2026. Then once you hit February, come in here and do 2/1/2026 to I don't know how many days are on February this year, but we'll go 2/28/2026, and then that would just restrict where users can post. It's not necessarily like closing anything financially, but to ensure that nobody's posting to those prior periods. That's where you'd want to do that. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Any other questions? I know people are starting to drop off. Totally cool. We'll catch up with everybody via email. Matt put the product page. That's great. Yeah, no problem. Any other questions here? Sent the product guide. We sent I sent the app source link at the beginning of the call. We sent the YouTube channel. I think that's about it. So if there's no more questions, we'll set everybody loose on their day because I'm sure everybody's got plenty of things to do. I'll just do one more thing. I'll put my email in here because that'll be helpful. If you don't have it, that's my email. Feel free to email me at any time with questions maybe on the toolbox or any of the rental or service applications that are out there, and we'll definitely get you connected with the right folks or do additional demos, show additional videos, things like that. But I think I've exhausted it at this point. If anybody else has anything to add, again, just feel free to drop it in there. Otherwise, I assume we're good to go for today. And again, just appreciate everybody taking 45 minutes out of their day to learn more about optimizing Business Central and hopefully having a healthy BC environment for 2026. Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.